This is the VegasTourist.com podcast, number 217. I'm Mark Anthony, and sitting across from me is...
the lovely wife, Debbie Anthony. Am I getting good at this?
You're getting good at that. We're talking about Hendertucky. Hooterville. And before you all want to send me those nasty emails, hey, look it up. There's a lot of people that reference Henderson as Hendertucky, including those who live here.
As a member who've lived here for 34 years, I am one of them.
Your sister has a T-shirt that says...
She does. Remember,
Welcome to
Hendertucky.
Yep.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Or Hooterville. You know.
Yeah, we call it both, but Hendertucky is what we...
We have an interview with the former mayor of Hendertucky, Bob Groesbeck, who now runs a marijuana dispensary here in Las Vegas, but we'll get into that later. First of all, how you doing?
I'm just awesome.
Yeah, you're just awesome. We just got out of the pool. It's under 100 degrees.
The worst of it is over for this year.
Time to break out the parkas, get the furnace cranked up. It's going to be 80 pretty soon.
You turn the furnace on, I will shoot you.
Up on the website, thevegastourist.com, I got a couple new articles up there. One is the 5 bets of Vegas changing. A reference to an article that was posted on the Motley Fool, which I think someone was writing in one of my tours and took notes, because that's basically what I talk about when folks ask me about Vegas. You know, do you like Vegas? Let me tell you what's up here. It's like, wow, that's basically what I say on my tours. Wow.
Yeah, the dynamic is changing.
Yes, we are growing. Also, coming up next month, PBR World Finals Week.
Month.
Yeah, it is. October.
It's in November.
It's October.
I thought it was the first week in November. Anyway.
This is a whole week. Because this year they're adding the Blue Deaf Finals at...
Gotcha. I remember.
At South Point, and then the World Finals at...
so that starts in October
T-Mobile,
then and goes into November.
Also up there we have an article on Pole Expo. Well, actually it's not an article on Pole Expo. Yeah, it is. Pole Expo 2016, if you want to learn about... or
exercising on the pole. Go look it up. Check out our article. You're going to love it.
This is the 5th annual. They've been doing it for 5 years. Someday it's going to be a...
Olympic event?
It is. She agrees with me. It might not be in our lifetime, but we're aiming to make pole dancing an Olympic event. Hey, after what happened at this year's Olympics, they need something.
It will be entertainment.
It will be.
And that is... It does look like you use an awful lot of muscle groups to work that pole.
So if you're in town, I think it's Wednesday through Saturday, go see it. It's at the Hard Rock at the Vanity Club. Okay. Meanwhile, we went shooting.
We did.
We went to Top Shot Las Vegas,
great place.
A new gun range here in Vegas. We got a couple photos up on our.
Well, you can't really. It's not really a gun range per se. It's a new virtual gun range.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Non-lethal bullets,
but real guns.
Yeah, they're real guns.
The real guns. They have the real kick.
You get the real kick.
You get to choose your handguns. I mean, holding up that rifle really hurt my arms. It was a real. The real thing that they use in the armies for...
AR-15?
I can't remember what it was called, but the handgun, the handgun policemen use.
Yeah.
It was...
By the way, if you ever encounter Debbie with a handgun, say your prayers. If you encounter me with a handgun, you can laugh.
Yeah, he won't hit you, so go ahead. Take what you want.
Handgun, I could not hit the broadside of a freaking barn. A AR-15,
but
you're dead.
Give him the rifle, and he did much better than I did. Because I couldn't hold it up for long enough. We
will have a full interview in a future podcast because it is a fun place to go.
Yeah, and it deserves its own time and attention.
And it's all not, it's not just men. They've got female instructors there. It's good for locals because it's a gun range that Metro uses.
Well, yeah, and there's that background thing. You go through one that's, you get to shoot zombies and stuff, and you can take your children in there and they get to shoot balloons because they're not allowed to shoot at real things.
Right.
but it teaches them about how to handle guns and the safety and all that of them. And then there's a second room that you get to. There's one that's outside before you go into one of the rooms where you get to target practice.
Right.
And then you have the 2 rooms. The second room was decisional making, where we chose the home invasion.
That was real.
And you got to use a handgun, and there was 3 men breaking into your home, and you had to defend yourself. And what I learned was that just because you have a gun in your hand does not necessarily mean you can defend yourself.
No.
That's what I took away from that. So if you really want to own a gun and be that person who wants to defend themselves, this is the perfect place to go and get yourself in a position where you can use that gun and you can protect yourself without the accidental shootings that happen all the time from home gun ownership.
In the situational room, what was there? There was like 80 different situations?
80 different virtual realities that he was telling us, and more to come.
Yes, and I mean, they shoot at you.
Yeah, they shoot back and you shoot them, and if you hit, the target goes down, you see the splatter, the whole, it's really real. And then there's the back room that is just like being in war or something. You go around, you go around through these aisles and things pop up at you, and you have to decide whether it's a victim or a bad guy.
And in that situation, you can do either you go in yourself or you can go in teams.
As a team, yeah.
So it's a team building. You get to shoot at your boss,
And he even mentioned that you could go in 2 teams where you could shoot against each other.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was a great thing. But check into it; it's really neat.
But seriously, the situation room it gives you that understanding, that feel.
Yeah. Well, you get to and you get to practice without that fear of the real thing, but it gets you prepared for what could happen. You know, if you're going to own a gun, I'm not a gun owner. It's something that I have personal feelings about. But if you're going to be a gun owner, be good at it. Know the safety of it. Know what you need to do, because just because you have a gun in your house doesn't mean if people break in, you can defend yourself.
Right. So, place is called Top Shot Las Vegas. They're new. This is a state of the art. They use non-lethal bullets, which are really cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, they teach classes.
Yep.
And then you can also do the fun side. So for locals, they got packages. For the tourists, they've got packages.
Yeah, for a local, I think it was $100 a year for a membership, and then all you had to do is pay cents for the bullets that you use each time you come in.
But if you want to go in with a bunch of your friends and shoot a bunch of zombies, you can do that. You're horrible at zombies.
No, I actually shot one of the victims.
Yeah.
I was it was hard to hold the rifle up. So if you want to practice that, you start lifting weights now, because it's not as easy as it looks on TV.
No, it's like, that was one of my comments. Dirty Harry made it look so easy.
Really, he did. You did say that.
Take the 357, lift it up, point it, shoot it. It's
just
easy.
wipe them out. Yeah.
So there's a photo with me with the full vest on. And, that's cool. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and you posted one of me shooting zombies.
Yes, trying to anyway.
I got some of them.
Links, of course, will be up on the website, thevegastourist.com. Then we took Claire, our new addition to the family, out for her very first outing.
Yes, her very first going out in public. She's a little puppy. She's only 11 weeks old.
We took her out to 7 Magic Mountains, those day-glow painted rocks in the desert, just 10 miles south of Las Vegas.
Yep, 5 miles this side of Jean. If you're coming from Jean, they were 5 miles from Jean coming towards Vegas. So it wasn't far.
Kind of an interesting thing. I had put a post up there. I mean, it's a work of art, but you have the solace of the desert, and then you have these big, bright boulders stacked on top of each other.
And you do wonder how they managed to get those rocks stood on top of each other, because they are huge. Locally quarried and stood on top of each other. And I I understand they plan on moving them in a couple years.
Well, they're out there for 2 years, and then probably Zappos will move them in town someplace. But, so yeah, 7 Magic Mountains.
Probably put them outside the arena. Maybe in place of the tall, naked woman.
Oh, please. God, I'd like that.
I would, too. That'd be nice. Stand them in a circle around her. Maybe they could just block her.
There you go. Things big and stiff next to the big, tall, naked woman. Oh, could that go in so many different directions?
You would have a blast with
Yes.
that. I could see podcast upon podcast.
Oh, my God. That is so cool. That would be so fun. They expect 6 million people to go out there and view them in the next 2 years, and I believe it. It was when...
it was pretty busy when we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dog liked it part of the time, and then she found a shady spot, and that's where she decided she wanted to stay.
Well, she just liked it because people would...
Yeah, she got lots of attention.
Yes,
She got her belly rubbed by everybody who talked to her.
Yeah, she, little whore.
Hey, be nice.
Somebody would go, oh, that's a cute dog, and she'd just roll over.
Yep, all 4 feet in the air.
Okay, here I am. I'm going to try not to touch very much on this one for right now, because I have a whole lot of stuff that I want to write on this one, but it is in the news. It is the topic in Vegas, and that is the Raiders Stadium, which has now grown to, I think,
And if he starts a rant, I will reel him in.
Yes. Well, it's just 99% of what you read is manufactured by the LVCVA, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. It is what Jim Mirren, the CEO of MGM Resorts, wants you to think, that the deal is over, that it's not going to happen. He is so far from wrong, I cannot even measure it, because this is so close to being done. And it comes down to your room tax, okay? Yes, it is tax money, but it is not everyone's tax money. They want $700 million, which I think is feasible without raising the room tax. I don't like the idea that they want to raise the room tax. Every time we turn around, they want to raise the room tax.
Yep, $1 here, $3 there, $4 there, another $1 here. Before you know it, it's going to be ridiculous.
Well, MGM just raised the resort fees.
Yeah. On top of adding parking fees.
Yeah. Let's not
get you started.
Yesterday, I was dropping guests off at the Mirage, and I saw, and it was really funny. I should have taken a picture of it. You've got the sign out there that says valet $35, and you have 3 valet guys standing there with their thumbs up their ass.
Right.
They used to be busy.
Yeah, they used to be very busy.
People
don't want to pay for valet.
So here's the thing.
You tip a valet, you don't pay
Yes.
them.
Yeah. Okay. And let's not get into as well. They do it in St. Louis. Okay. St. Louis, you can't take a beer down Main Street. Okay.
We're not St. Louis.
Yeah.
We're
All right.
Vegas.
All right.
We're an island of our own.
How it looks now is this. The land south of Mandalay Bay, which is now Bali High Golf Course, is where they want to build it. They have a second lot across the I-15 from Mandalay Bay, which they supposedly just bought. They want to put the stadium next where Bali High is. The only problem is it is currently under lease with a guy that if you didn't know it, was probably a child of Harry Reid's, because the Clark County board just throws this guy land deals like they're passing out water. Okay, so anyway,
he knows somebody.
Oh my God. Yeah, funeral home. Anyway, so they want to build the stadium on Bali High, which I think would ruin the Welcome to Vegas sign experience. Plus, it's next to the airport, which was the problem with the original location, which was next to the UNLV. Well, it's too close to the airport, blah, blah, blah. Bali High is right next to the airport, right under the takeoff path, which is most used by most of the airlines. East-west. Okay? If that's not, come on, folks, all right? The land.
Although being in the airplane and taking off and getting to look down into the stadium would be really cool.
It'd be really cool, yeah. But I mean,
that'd be pretty cool. I'm a photographer, so I'm thinking like a photographer. I'd be ooh.
Yeah, but see, I remember one experience when I was coming up from the South Point. We were crossing the tracks right at the airport. It was during one of our monsoon seasons. A Southwest Airlines jet plane was trying to land during one of the windiest points. You could literally read the serial numbers off the frickin' tires. Okay. That's going to take out a dome stadium.
Yeah, right? that could go pretty bad if it needed.
Now, the land across I-15 from Mandalay Bay is a good spot. It's close to Mandalay Bay. It's close to the Strip. The congestion on I-15 would not be so bad, but and then you can bring the monorail down and around.
Very true.
Which just happens to coincide with the fact that earlier this year the monorail said that they want to expand southward.
Amazing how that happened.
Which would also mean MGM would be able to get rid of their tram from Excalibur, Luxor, Mandalay Bay, which would just benefit
everyone.
MGM again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we can spend $700 million in room tax money to expand and maintain a convention center that already competes with private convention centers, we can spend $700 million and build a stadium that will benefit the UNLV, will benefit the Vegas tourist, and benefit the convention center, as well as benefiting the hotels. So it's
point taken.
So it's everything or nothing.
Right.
Yeah. If they want to raise the room tax for a convention center, they can throw that money
towards what we need, we really
right.
could use. Yeah.
I will keep. See, I kept that rant under 30 minutes. Okay.
I'm amazed. I was ready to pull out my coffee cup.
Get the popcorn, folks. This is going to be a long one.
Right.
Oh yeah. So that kind of brings us up to speed. So as always, it's up on the up on the UNLV campus. Whatever they do with the stadium, it's got to include the UNLV. And it's got to be close to the Strip and close to the campus.
To make it easy for people to move from one place to another instead of going all the way out to Sam Boyd.
The one thing nobody has answered is why can't we sell Sam Boyd to the developers and use that money?
That's a very good question. Anybody have an answer out there?
That land, the developers are like chomping at the bit to buy. Which means Bill Walters is probably going to get it for about $30 an acre.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And housing is really coming up quite a bit down in that area.
Definitely. I mean,
not to mention the bird preserve and everything that's down in that area. So they could use. There's a lot of different options for that area down there.
Look at how much this house has gone up in value since you bought it.
Yeah, we've been here 6 years. It's been up. It's went up $100,000 since we've been in it.
Almost doubled. Mm-hmm. And this is a 30-year-old house. So, Okay, all right. Hendertucky. Hey, you live here. Well, I live here now.
You live here now. Yeah. You got drug into it. It was, you marry me, this is where you're coming.
Never thought I'd live in Henderson. Why did you move here?
Well, it started out because I had grandparents that lived in Southern California.
Yeah, but you were living in Carolinas.
I was in North Carolina at the time.
Okay.
That's where my family was.
Okay, so your grandparents moved here?
Yes, my grandparents retired here because they had to get out of the smog of Southern California. My grandma's health needed the fresh air.
Okay.
This is a drier climate.
Yes.
It was good for her health issues. The day came, she got to the point Mom wanted to be closer to her.
Right.
So land here was very cheap at the time. You could have a house built and buy a nice 4-bedroom brand new home in a brand new lot for $83,000.
Okay.
That's what my grandparents paid for their house when they came up here in this neighborhood that we're in now.
Right. Now you moved here 30 years ago?
34. How old is my son? He's 30. He just turned 33, so 33 years ago.
Happy birthday, Brandon. Happy birthday to you.
He just turned 33 August 29th, and I moved here 2 days after he was born.
What do you do on your children's birthday?
I called him for their birthday. Oh, gosh. I forgot this year.
But you also do what? You take them to lunch.
I take them to lunch.
I think that is the coolest thing. Seriously. Mom and child.
Yeah, it's lunch. It's lunch date. because they're adults now. So
Nobody else.
They don't get toys, and
but
they're grown-ups.
But it's nobody else. It's your time to be with your child on that special day.
Yep.
I think that is the coolest thing. When you told me you do that, I went, that is the coolest thing.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I just call my dad and go, happy birthday, Dad. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, you know.
Well, I'm one of those that's kind of spoiled them a little bit. So.
Okay, all right. Okay, so 30 years ago, you moved here to be with the rest of your family.
Yeah, to be close to the rest, because they'd all moved here already.
Right.
I was off married to a service person, so it took me longer.
Was the 215, or was that?
215 did not exist. The 95 was the only thing that existed, and the I-15 that brought you to the Strip.
Okay.
That was it.
That and Boulder Highway.
And Boulder Highway. Boulder Highway took you all the way down to Fremont Street. It literally went all the way down to the plaza.
Yeah,
so it was a straight shot to the plaza.
Yeah, it's so funny because when you talk to people, they either never, you know, it's just assumed that what is now the 215 has always been here. You know, that's how we get here.
In fact, if I remember correctly, the 95 was not here when I moved here.
Okay. Because
95 was built after I got here.
Because when I moved here in 2001, what's now 215 was a 4-lane road. It was a paved road, but I mean, it was 4 lanes. That was it.
Yeah, there was no 215. There was no such item as a 215. Lake Mead went all the way out to I-15.
Okay. So Bob Groesbeck was speaking at Las Vegas Territory meeting, and he was talking about the marijuana issue here in Vegas. We are in Nevada. Medical marijuana is legal, and Bob is a part owner in Medix.
Are we one of the states that it's legal in?
Medical.
Oh, just medical, not just all the way like Colorado.
Right.
Okay.
Not recreational.
Oh, gotcha.
The ballot come November is issue number 2 is to legalize recreational.
Okay.
Now we have the one thing we have that no other state has is the reciprocal.
And what is that?
If you have a marijuana card
from anywhere else.
From anywhere in the world that is recognized by the medical profession worldwide, you can come to Vegas and buy marijuana here.
Wow.
You can't take it out of state.
But you can be comfortable while you're here.
Right. So people with the marijuana card in California can come here while they're here, roll a doobie by the pool. They can, I
don't know. Can you do it outdoors in front of around other people?
I don't know, but
I don't know enough about it.
But they also have cookies and gummy bears and cream and a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, that's another podcast. Anyway, but prior to his taking the podium, he was sitting at our table and we were talking, and I just found him interesting because of his love of Henderson, because he's been here since he was 16 years old. And when he came here, somebody referred to it as Hooterville. Okay. This is back in the 60s, and he talked about the history of the town, and I found it fascinating because it resembles Boulder City in so many ways. Just 20 years later, Henderson came into being as a government town for magnesium processing.
Right. What is now Timet.
Right. Magnesium was used during the war to make aluminum stronger. So it was the miracle metal for airplane parts. Right. And that was one of the reasons why Hoover Dam became a terrorist target. But anyway, and then again, once the war was over, people didn't want to leave. And so the government hung on to it, and then it's like, well, let's find something else to do with it. And that's when it became the Timet plant. And then in 1998, they had that big explosion.
Pepcon blew up.
Yep.
That was in 1987.
Yep. Okay. 2 people died.
It was 1987 or early 88.
My notes say 88.
Yes, it was 88. I was here. I remember that happening.
Okay. Yep. Shook your windows and all that.
It blew our window in right on my baby's crib. Most of Water Street, most of the windows had been blown out.
Well, it's interesting because in multiple ways. First of all, when people come here to Vegas, they think the whole valley is Las Vegas. And it's like, no, your hotel isn't even in Las Vegas. Your hotel is in paradise.
Paradise Valley, yeah.
There are 9 communities in the Vegas Valley. Henderson is actually the second largest city in Nevada. And
well, the funny thing is, when I moved here, you could walk from one end of Henderson to the other in 30 minutes.
Well, yeah.
Green Valley did not exist.
Right.
Henderson was very small.
That's what Bob and I get into, because he remembers looking out and going, that's Vegas, way out there in the distance.
Yep. And there was a lot of desert between here and there. Lots of desert. Sam Boyd's Super Bowl stood out. It was like an island all by itself. It stood out all by itself. And then you'd see Sam Boyd, what's the Samstown?
Yep.
Past that.
Now, Bob was mayor from 1993 to 1997. That was when Henderson and Vegas had its largest
during
growth.
The boom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know why he wanted to be mayor?
Why is that?
I love the story. I'm going to give it away. Bob?
Shouldn't you save that for the that podcast?
Bob wanted to be mayor because he always liked to watch city parades, and he loved the mayor as he rode down in the back.
He wanted to ride in the car.
He wanted to ride in the car. So he wanted to become mayor someday. He said, as a kid, I want to be mayor someday.
So I can ride in the car.
So he can ride in the car.
Well, everybody's got to have a goal.
That's right. The greatest part of this interview or this conversation, Bob, if you're listening, God bless you. He's almost like Gibbs.
Oh, from NCIS?
NCIS Gibbs.
God, we love him.
His team, his people, he gives all of the credit to all the wonderful things that happen as mayor to the people that worked for him, that worked under him.
Well, and that's a sign of a good leader is picking good people to work for you that know how to do their job. So hats off to you.
Damn right. And side note, sometime in the near future here, we do have an interview with the current mayor of Henderson. So it's going to be an interesting contrast. So
maybe we should start a thing for when the mayor switches over and how Henderson is doing. We'll follow Henderson.
For those of you that don't know, Henderson, so this is the other thing. Like in Minneapolis, where I'm from, when you cross the bridge into St. Paul, there's a sign saying, welcome to St. Paul. When you go into Robindale, there's a sign that says, welcome to Robindale. There is nothing here that says, welcome to Green Valley, welcome to Henderson. It's just, you're there.
Yeah, you have to be from here to know that that's where you are.
If you go to Lake Mead or you go to Boulder City, you go through Henderson.
Yep.
That's all.
And you see a welcome to Boulder City sign.
Yes. So, all right. Here is the interview with Bob Groesbeck, former mayor of Henderson. Come back afterwards and we'll do a wrap-up, all right? Here's Bob. I'm sitting here with Bob Groesbeck, former mayor of Henderson, Nevada.
That's correct.
Hendertucky.
That was a long time ago.
When I first moved here to Vegas, I moved here from Minnesota. It took me a short time to realize this is not all Las Vegas.
Right.
There's actually 9 communities here. But there's nothing that says, hello, Henderson.
Right.
It's just, there it is. You know,
right.
And it's funny because a lot of the tourists don't know that they're not in Las Vegas when they stay at the MGM or Bellagio or wherever. But for marketing purposes, we call the whole valley Las Vegas.
That's correct.
You moved here in 1966.
Yes, early 60s, yep.
You moved to Henderson in 1966.
Correct.
Okay. Back then, was there a physical gap between Vegas?
Oh boy, was there a gap. Yeah, there were huge gaps of desert between the respective communities that you mentioned. It was really easy to know when you were in Henderson, because when you left Las Vegas, it'd take you about a half hour to get out to the city limits of Henderson. As time has passed, of course, now there's nothing to show that separation. It's basically one continuous metro area.
Yeah. Now, Henderson has kind of a affinity to Boulder City in the fact that it really wasn't supposed to be here right now.
Correct.
It was just a company town during the war. It had a limited lifespan, and then it was supposed to dry up and go away.
It was.
Why did it not?
Well, I think after the war, of course, you had this giant industrial complex sitting there, vacant.
What was it used for?
Well, during the war effort for magnesium and other allied metals, that they processed for the war effort. And it was probably, one of the largest industrial complexes of its type in the country at that time.
Really?
And it didn't make, a lot of sense to just, it was mothballed, but it didn't make a lot of sense to just tear it down. So the state, to their credit, and the local communities, to their credit, were looking to put that resource back to work. And, over time, you saw a number of different companies come in and take over portions of that gigantic complex. And many of them have operated there since the war, through different names now, of course, but basically the facility's been in place since the late 40s, early 50s.
Okay, and then that complex just kind of went away, or?
No, it hasn't gone away at all. It's different, it's smaller, it's buffered now. I mean, if you're on Lake Mead in Henderson, for instance, you'll see all the shopping centers and all the light industrial facilities being built around it. So basically creates a shield. You don't see it anymore, but it's there, very much there.
Okay. And then when was the explosion? 90?
Oh boy, that's, I want to say 98, 99, right around there. No, I'm sorry, 88, 89. You're talking about the marshmallow plant, obviously blew up as part of that, but that was the Rocket Fuel Center. That wasn't actually part of the original BMI complex. That came in later.
Yeah, because I married my wife, who her family, and she owns a house in Henderson, so it's like I'm there now.
Right. The Pepcon plant.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
She talks about how shook the house, broke a couple windows, and all, and all that. So, but now it's evolved into a kind of its own town.
Oh, very much so. For many years, we were a bedroom community to Las Vegas, greater Las Vegas, Clark County. But it's a large, thriving city now on its own. I mean, there are over 300,000 residents in the city currently.
Really?
Yeah, I went from a couple stoplights when I was a kid to, major freeway interchanges now.
What was it like back then to be in this small town next to Las Vegas?
Well, it didn't mean much to me as a kid. I mean, Las Vegas was just another city. Henderson was an industrial, blue-collar, working town at the time, but I loved it. I mean, I loved everything about it. And
once you got adjusted to the heat?
Yeah, as a kid, I don't remember the heat like I do now. I mean,
now I feel it.
Yeah, every summer now they get longer and hotter. As a kid, that was just part of life. I don't think we even had an air conditioner in our car till probably the late 70s. I mean, you roll the windows down when it was hot and just turn the fan on. Yeah. And that's how it was. And swamp coolers. As a little boy growing up with swamp coolers. And after, about 90 degrees, those were really ineffective. Or if it was humid, they were worthless.
Yeah.
But we survived. We did just fine.
My wife's oldest son still lives in one of the original houses down there.
On the town site.
Yeah. It's a small square house that today it's kind of cute, but back then it was a house.
Right.
You worked, you went to, you went home, and then
they were designed to be functional and get you out of the elements. And there wasn't much beauty or charm. That wasn't the design when they created the city. That wasn't, I think, the intent long term. But it's nice that we still have those remnants there, that history that's still in place.
Yeah. Now, Main Street here is Water Street.
Correct.
Has that always been like that, or?
Well, there have been some changes with the redevelopment district. The government complex, City Hall, and all the ancillary buildings, of course, are new and much larger. But I think this street overall has maintained pretty much its charm from that day. It's still pretty quiet, pretty basic. You had a couple casinos downtown there. Not much else. A few banks. But it looks like now, there's been a concerted effort over the years to turn that into something more, make it more of an attraction to get people to the downtown area.
Well, I know, like when you come from the dam or from Grand Canyon, you come through Boulder City, you pass Railroad Pass, you top that hill there, and you look out, you can see what's Boulder Highway.
Correct.
It is very prominent there. That used to be the main drag from Boulder City into Vegas.
That was the only drag.
That was the only one.
For many years. Boulder Highway was the major arterial through southern Nevada.
That was it.
Right. We did, 215, 15, the 95, all of those came in at much later dates.
So then you grew up, you became a lawyer, or?
I did.
Okay.
Worked in the marketing field for quite some time.
What made you become mayor, or want to be mayor?
I always wanted to be mayor. Ever since I was a little kid, I used to go to the Industrial Day parades, which are now called the Heritage Day parades, and I was always fascinated that, see the mayor riding in the open convertible.
You wanted to be that?
I always just thought it was something that was so cool. I was so impressed, and I love the city. I still love the city.
I do have to admit, prior to marrying my wife, Henderson was just there. It's something you pass through to get to Lake Mead. It was something you pass through to go to Hoover Dam. But now that I live there and I'm meeting the people, it's fascinating because people like to live there. Right. Where in Vegas they just kind of move there.
Right. Well, I think in Henderson, and I certainly can't take credit for all of it, we've had some pretty progressive mayors and councils over the years that really made a concerted effort to master plan the community. We've got the best parks probably in the country, certainly in the West Coast.
Yes.
And we have more of them per acre than probably any other community in the West Coast.
I have to agree with that one.
Bike paths, there's a lot of connectivity throughout the communities. And as they grow together, it's a nice place to be. Summers obviously are miserable, but most of the year it's just wonderful. Great climate.
So in 1993, you were elected mayor.
Correct.
That was like the beginning of the boom period?
Well, we'd already started the boom period, probably 3 or 4 years before that. Things were really starting to go through the planning stage. Lake Las Vegas, for instance, over on the east side of the valley. Green Valley was just starting to come out of the ground, hadn't been fully master planned. So there was a lot of momentum, but yeah, probably 93 to 2000 or so, we really just saw that massive influx and just gigantic infrastructure projects. We had to accommodate everybody coming in.
Yeah.
And schools, that whole process was a challenge, but a credit to the staff. We had some outstanding employees that were really focused on meeting those challenges, and I think their hard work, we see it every day as we drive through the community.
Yeah, the times that I've had to interact with the city of Henderson, I've always had a really good experience. Very friendly, very accommodating. They don't like red tape.
Yeah, and that's a credit to them. Mayor Hafen, the current mayor, I think has just done a wonderful job, as has the council, in managing this. It's no longer a small town. It's a big city, and it comes with some big city problems, but I think they've been very adept at adapting and dealing with it.
Being the mayor of Henderson, was it a plus or a minus to be next to Vegas?
Well, I think it was both. Obviously, when I was elected, there was a stigma still associated with the city. You mentioned Hendertucky early on in our interview today, which lots of folks did, by the way.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, it used to be referred to as Hooterville.
Okay.
And a story I'd love to share with people is when I was in office, I was out at the McCarran Airport in one of the offices there, and we were in an intense battle with the school district over allocating sites to the respective communities. And during a break, very contentious, very heated, lots of stakeholders in the room, and a woman came up to me during the break and she said to me that, she goes, it's just like you people in Snooterville. And I looked at her, and she obviously didn't mean it in a very flattering context, but I said, I'm sorry you feel the way you do. I mean, I represent and I advocate for the citizens of Henderson, and I'll do everything I can to make sure we get the resources, but I'm going to take your comment as a compliment, because, I grew up, when we were always referred to as Hooterville. And I thought that it was pretty funny, because it kind of showed that evolution. We went from a town that really nobody thought much about or respected, and when they did think about us, it was usually in negative connotations.
Right.
And now, obviously it's changed.
What are, now that you're out of office, what are the challenges going forward for a town like Henderson here?
Well, I think that the city's matured greatly. There's like I said, probably closer to 320,000 residents there now. Still a lot of room to grow, but there's a balancing act. You've got to devote resources and manage the older areas, the mature areas of town, and make sure that you're creating opportunities, environments there for growth and for renewal, and yet you have to still continue to plan for all the other growth. One of the other things that the city always tried to avoid is just growth for the sake of growth. Right. Urban sprawl. We just didn't want things, just growing as they came. We wanted to master plan, and I think that's still a challenge for them today. Is how do we address this? How do we deal with it? How do we bring that development into the fold? We want to continue to grow as a city, but we want to do it in a smart way.
Well, it's interesting that it's growing not in a touristy fashion. You're actually bringing in some new businesses that are not tourist related.
Right.
And that's kind of where Vegas is trying to go, but Henderson, because of who it is, seems to have the advantage to that.
Well, I think we recognized early on that we had no chance of becoming the Strip. That was never our goal. That was never our focus. Room inventory, having resort opportunities out there obviously was important to us. Lake Las Vegas is an example of that. The M Resort, Sunset Station, others. But we were never focused on becoming a gaming mecca, the juggernaut of gaming. And, I think you see that every day. There's a nice mixture of all of that. We do have room inventory. We have the ability to bring in large groups of people and service them and keep them in the community.
Right. But you're also attracting, like, Levi Strauss is there?
Yeah, Levi's been there for many, many years. There are a lot of businesses outside of the traditional gaming.
Yeah. You used to be home to a marshmallow factory.
Correct. We were. Yes.
When I first got into the tour business, everyone, there's a marshmallow factory out here somewhere. I'm like, no, I think it turned into Cranberries, and then Cranberries.
Well, those are different facilities, but yeah, it was the initial building, the original building, of course, blew up with the Pepcon explosion, and then they rebuilt it. And I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it was a great facility, and.
Yeah, I hear stories about it all of the time. That so.
But yeah, it continued to operate for many years.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So now you moved out of politics, and now you're back into the business world. What are you doing?
Well, currently I'm operating a medical marijuana business in Clark County, and have been open here in this facility that we're sitting in now since April 1.
What's the name of the company?
Medicine.
What is its purpose?
Sells medical marijuana to licensed cardholders in the state of Nevada.
Cool. All right. What are 3 things you would recommend to a first-time Vegas tourist? 3 things you think that they should do.
Well, I think it's a must, obviously, that you spend some time on the Strip. You see these fabulous casinos and everything that they have to offer. I think that's 1. I think 2 is you have to spend a day to get out and see some of the other areas. Hoover Dam, I've been there 1,000 times, and I'm just as impressed every time I go. It's just, there's nothing like it in the world. I think you have to see that. I think getting out to see Red Rock or get up to Mount Charleston. I think it's crucial to go see that and be part of that. And then go look at some of the other outlying areas like Henderson. You've got Lake Las Vegas, which is just a wonderful self-enclosed resort. When people see that for the first time, you see this gigantic lake surrounded by desert. That's not part of Lake Mead, by the way. It's eye-opening. And to see the level of development there and how that thing is just sprung up out of nothing, I think it's important. Those are things that I recommend people when they come in all the time. Everybody has to see the Strip. It's a must. And there's so much to do. So you need to spend at least several days there. You can never see it in a single trip, all of it.
Right.
But I'm a firm believer that get out and see what we do here. This is, people are always shocked that we actually have lives here, that there are churches or shopping centers.
We have 7-Elevens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thriving metropolitan area of over 2 million people. And there are a lot of amenities. The Smith Center downtown, I mean, it's just an outstanding facility. It's one of the nicest of its type in the country.
It is.
I had friends here from Canada. We went over and saw an event there. They were just stunned at how beautiful it was. And it's like,
and it's not attached to a casino.
Exactly. That's it. It's performing arts center, standing alone for the entire community, and it doesn't have a marquee on it, with a casino name. You're right.
Or a buffet.
Yeah, or a buffet. Absolutely.
Favorite Vegas show?
Oh man, I think. The Michael Jackson show, the Cirque show, is my favorite.
One?
Yeah, one.
Cool.
I just love that show.
Were you a Michael Jackson fan before?
I was, yeah. I thought he was an amazing entertainer. But the show is just over the top spectacular.
Really?
Like all the Cirque shows are amazing, but that one just seems to stand out. I love Beatles Love is also right there a second, close second rather. So
Hidden Vegas gem. Something that doesn't get the publicity that it should.
Well, I hit on one of them, is the Smith Center.
Oh yeah,
that's a wonderful gem. I think the Las Vegas Preserve downtown there off of the 95 rather.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing.
The Springs Preserve.
Springs Preserve. It's amazing.
That now they have the Street Museum attached to it. That's awesome.
And I don't think most people have any clue that it's here.
No.
So.
Favorite Vegas movie?
Oh, maybe Casino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Mob Museum?
I have.
Okay.
That's another gem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the city did a fabulous job at renovating that and telling the history of Las Vegas in its early years.
Cool. If anyone wants to get hold of you to know more information about Henderson or about what you're doing, how can they do that?
Well, they can always get me here at my shop at Medizin. It's 702-206-1313.
Yeah.
But I'm always around.
Cool.
So.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for your time.
Oh, Mark, my pleasure. Always.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Groesbeck. Thank you for your time. We also did a second interview with him where we do discuss the marijuana dispensary that he is part owner in and the whole marijuana issue here in Las Vegas, which is kind of fascinating. That'll play at a later date. Otherwise, as always, you can find more information at thevegastourist.com. Like us, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on all of your social media platforms that we're on. If you have any questions, any comments, hit us up at thevegastourist.com. Leave your comments down below or wherever, and we'll be sure to answer them, right?
You betcha.
You betcha. Thank you. Any closing words, my darling sweetheart?
See you next time.
There we go. All right. Carl, Safe Sacks Ferris is going to take us out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next Tuesday.
See ya.